Blood of the Covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, by KassandraScarlett. 5 times Peter acted like Tony Stark, and the one time he knew he did. 1. I am Iron Man. Everyone in the audience erupted in loud cheers. In a home, a 7-year-old boy with curly brown hair dashed into the kitchen. "Uncle Ben!" he screamed. "Uncle Ben! Uncle Ben! Uncle Ben!" "Hey, hey, hey, kiddo." The boy's uncle turned down the stove and turned his attention to the kid. "What's up?" "I'm going to be a superhero," Peter announced. May chuckled from the table. "Oh, yeah? Like Iron Man?" she teased. Peter pouted. "No, only Mr. Tony Stark is Iron Man," he protested. "I'm going to be his sidekick." Both adults blinked. "You're going to be his sidekick?" Ben repeated in confusion. "Oh, sidekick." He nodded enthusiastically. "Here, watch." He stood in the centre of the room and, with a very serious expression on his face, pretended to take off non-existent sunglasses and then held an imaginary card in his hand and looked at them solemnly. "I am Iron Man." He spoke in a semi-serious tone, the words ending with an amused smirk. Both May and Ben exchanged fond glances. He had Stark down to a T. Same inflection, same swagger, same gestures. "Very good, Peter." Ben laughed, ruffling his hair. "You look just like a superhero." Kids these days, he thought fondly as Peter grinned, getting so attached to celebrities and whatever they see on TV. 2. He could do this, Peter thought to himself. He could help get that little cat to safety and then get back to Uncle Ben. Adjusting the Iron Man mask over his face, the 9-year-old dashed through the crowd of people screaming in panic. Just as he reached the little kitten meowing desolately, an adult appeared out of nowhere and scooped it up before resuming rescue. Peter blinked. Okay, well, the cat was safe. Now he had to find Uncle Ben. A mechanical thud sounded behind him. Heart drumming in his chest, he turned slowly to see a robot, not nearly as pretty as Iron Man, walking towards him. It looked scary, all grey and machiney. "You can do this, you can do this, you can do this," he chanted to himself. He had to at least try defeating the robot, right? Scrunching up his face in concentration, he raised his hand, just like Iron Man did, hoping the cardboard repulsor would be enough to scare it away. Then there was a whirring sound, a flash of light, and the robot flew backwards to the ground. Peter turned around to see the actual, real-life Iron Man behind him. "Nice job, kid," the man inside the armor, said, and flew away. 3. And then it was like this guy grew up onto a huge size, the one who had been tiny before, and then I was fighting him with War Machine, which is like the coolest thing ever. No, second coolest thing ever. Oh, and then Captain America punched me. I mean, how awesome is that? Rhodey watched him talk excitedly to Tony as they worked on the suits. The kid was good, he could admit. What really made him scratch his head was the uncanny similarity between him and Tony. It wasn't just the dark fluffy curls or the big brown doe eyes. This kid had the same wide-eyed innocence Tony used to have at MIT, the same yearning to make people he cared about proud. Not just that, they also seemed to share so many mannerisms. Just the other day, he had watched them both roll their eyes simultaneously at a stupid comment from a news reporter. Rhodey had first stared, because, in that instant, they could have been father and son. Then he'd burst out laughing, inviting weird glances from both, because they were father and son, and they didn't even realize it. 4. Pepper returned from her business trip and headed straight into the bedroom after seeing Tony in his lab. She was exhausted, and Tony had promised he'd be up in an hour. She knew he probably would be. For some months, he'd seemed to be sleeping easier. She had a feeling she knew the reason, and she couldn't even be upset that it wasn't because of her. Speaking of which, there was a new photo frame on the shelf. Taking it down, she inspected it with a smile on her face. It was of Tony and Peter, after Tony had had an official certificate of internship printed out for the sole purpose of providing as Peter's cover story. In it, they seemed to be oblivious to the fact that they were both holding the certificate between them, upside down, both preoccupied with making bunny ears behind each other's heads. Peter had a wide smile, while Tony had that particular beam he wore whenever he was trying and failing to hide his love. Shaking her head at the silliness of her boys, and yes, even Peter was her boy. If Tony loved him so much, then he was important to her too. And he was a great kid anyway. She placed the frame back on the shelf in its pride of place. 5. Kids, stop putting Nick Fury on voicemail. Happy begged. Please, just this once, pick up the phone. Peter smiled innocently at him. I'm going on vacation, he reminded, but he did answer the call, and Happy breathed a sigh of relief. Until Peter started speaking. Hey, Mr. Nick. Listen, I'm sure you've got some super important mission for me, but I'm going on a holiday with my friends. Feel free to call me again, though. I'll just send it to voicemail. Happy could almost hear Fury's annoyed yell of "Parker!" as the kid ended the call and pocketed it. You give me grey hairs, he snapped at the teen. But truthfully, he couldn't help but remember how Tony used to do the same thing. He'd be proud of you, Peter. 1. Peter swallowed, blinking back the tears in his eyes as he stared at the red and gold graffiti. The world needed Spider-Man, Fury had said. Not from what Peter could see. What the world needed was Iron Man. And he needed Tony Stark. I can't do this without you, he wanted to yell. I don't know how to be a hero. You were supposed to teach me. The eyes of the mask in the painting seemed to be looking straight at him. I wanted you to be better. You're an Avenger now. You're gonna be alright. Just hold me, Pete. Shut up and hold me. With a deep breath, he pulled his mask on. The HUD flickered to life and Karen's voice welcomed him home. Ready to get back to work so soon? I thought you were on a vacation. I am on vacation, he answered, but I'm also Spider-Man. As he swung off to meet Mysterio, he couldn't help but think Tony would have approved. After all, I am Iron Man. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Oh, that was beautiful. All the little bits that show how Peter and Tony are father and son in varying ways. I love it. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.